What's up, kids? Mr. Larry here. Hope you guys are doing absolutely amazing this Sunday morning. So happy you got to join us. Today, we're going to be having an amazing Bible time, an amazing lesson, and we're actually going to be starting a new series. So we're going to be talking about a similar topic for the next few weeks about valleys in the Bible. Now, you might be asking yourself what a valley is. You know what a mountain is, right? Or a hill, like the big part. Now, the high parts of the mountain or the hill, right? That low part is the valley. So we're going to be talking about where we have these low places and what God does in these low places. He doesn't just do things up high, he does things down low where we don't necessarily always want to be. So we're going to be talking about that over the next few weeks. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But today we're going to be talking about a specific valley, and that valley comes to us out of the book of 1 Kings chapter 20. Now, 1 Kings, it's in the Old Testament. There's 1 Kings and there's 2 Kings. Both of them are good, and just in case you didn't realize it by the title, it's about kings, like the kings of Israel. Like, it totally talks about kings. It's kind of awesome. But today, the specific part of this verse that we're going to be talking about in 1 Kings chapter 20 is the ending portion of verses 13 and 28. Now, the cool thing about verses 13 and 28, God says something. God's actually speaking. He's speaking on behalf through a prophet. So these are literally God's exact words to the individual that we're talking about. We're going to get to that in a second. But he says something. He says the same exact thing twice. And he says, "You shall know I am the Lord." And that's the title of today's message. You shall know I am the Lord. 1 Kings chapter 20. So we're going to jump right into our story time. So those are our verses. Remember, you shall know I am the Lord. So part one of our story, there is an issue with the country of Syria. Basically what's happening is the king of Syria, Ben-Hadad, is basically going on this major conquest, and he surrounded the area where Israel is located, and he sends these messengers to the king of Israel. And they basically say, look, we have a bigger army than you. We're going to take over all your stuff. We're going to take over. It's going to happen. But we want to take your best stuff. We're not going to take all your stuff. We're going to take your best stuff. And the king of Israel, his name's Ahab, he goes, okay, doable. You can take our best stuff. We get it. You're a bigger army. You probably beat us. Awesome. Not a big deal. Right? So the messengers go back, and then they come back again 2 days later, and they have this conversation, and he goes, so I know I told you I was only going to take your best stuff, but we're going to take all your stuff. And King Ahab was like, whoa. What? No. Sure, take the best stuff, totally understand. But you can't just take all of our stuff. And King Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, is like, yeah, I can. And King Ahab goes and talks to all of the leaders of Israel. And they're like, no, you can't. So they're like, you know what? Fine, we're going to fight. It's going to happen. It's going to go down, okay? Now, the first fight with Syria. Now, this is a really big point, because going into this fight and when they made this decision to fight, God told them something on behalf of a prophet. Remember, we've talked about prophets before. They're not like the fortune telling, ooh, look into my crystal ball. No, these are individuals that have this direct connection to God, and they speak on behalf of God in the Old Testament, right? So, prophet comes to him, have this conversation, and God says, look, I'm going to deliver this army into your hands. Basically, you're going to win. And he ends it all by saying, and you shall know I am the Lord. That's an important part. Pay attention to that. You shall know I am the Lord. So what happens? You have this smaller force, Israel. Israel had this much smaller army. And then you had the army of Syria, which had all of these kings and all of these chariots and horses and all this crazy stuff. And Israel wins. Israel pushes them back. They have to run back with their tails between their legs. Israel absolutely wins. And they're like, yay, hooray, we win. God did a thing. Awesome. And then you have King Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria. He's like, whoa. How did they beat us? What's going on? Like, y'all need to explain this. He's talking to his advisors. And his advisors are like, so, listen up here. We know Israel has this God. But their God is the God of the hills. Basically, their God is the God of the high places. Like, when they're up high and they're near their God and all these other things, yeah, we're probably not going to beat them. That's why they won. But he's only the God of the hills. He's not the God of the valleys. So let's bring them down off those hills into the valley, and that's where we'll get them, because their God won't be with them. And that's what happens. They come down out of the hills. There's this second conflict, and they're like, hey, it's about to go down. It's going to happen again. There's this second conflict, but the Syrians learn very quickly that our God isn't just the God of the hills, but he's the God of everything, and that includes the valley. And it's funny, too, because when you actually read in chapter 20, God actually says, oh, so they think I'm only the God of the hills. Okay, watch this. You're going to beat them a second time. So they go after him, they go after Syria, and guess what? They beat him a second time. But this is the even crazier part. Syria had a bigger army. They were on the playing field that they wanted to be on. Like, they was like, you know what? We're going to fight right here. They're like, okay, cool, we're going to fight right there. They had a much bigger army, and they still lost. And that's because God did a thing. God won the victory for them. So much so, even after they pushed the Syrians back, when the Syrians were running back into the place where they launched their attack from, the walls fell down on them, and 27,000 Syrian soldiers were defeated because walls fell on them, like, miraculously. Oh, it's a coincidence. No, it's God. God was doing a thing. So these walls fall down on them, and they're like, hooray, we win again. Our God's amazing. And then this is where things kind of go south. So we've been talking about King Ahab, the king of Israel, right? And we have King Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria. Now, Israel's winning. Despite all odds, Israel's winning. Israel's winning. It's just like, hey, our God's moving. It's great. King Ben-Hadad has survived both of these wars. He's survived both of these fights. And he goes to the king of Israel, and he's just like, well, hey, do you maybe think that, we could be friends? And the king of Israel is like, sure, buddy. And it's just like, wait, what? No. This is the enemy. You're supposed to get rid of all of them. He's like, listen, we can be friends. And then the king of Syria was just like, hey, yes, we're going to be friends. And just to show our friendship, I'm going to give you this land in this place. And you can set up shops in this place and do all these cool things. And the king of Israel is like, awesome, cool. We're buddies now. And that's when things start to go very bad. A prophet from God found out about this. God spoke to him and said, hey, I need you to do this thing. Basically, he pretended that he was an injured soldier, came up with this story, told the king of Israel, told King Ahab, and King Ahab says, well, you've obviously messed up and you're going to be punished for it. And then he takes off all of his, he had this disguise on. He had like a head wrap on, and his eyes were covered, and he was bleeding and all this other stuff. And he takes all of his stuff off like, aha! And the king of Israel is like, whoa, you're a prophet from God. I know who you are. What's going on? And he goes, you've messed up, Ahab. You've messed up big time. So you were supposed to continue and do all of these things, and you were supposed to win. You were supposed to get rid of the king of Syria. You're supposed to do all this stuff. But because you didn't, you're going to be punished. And that's where chapter 20 ends. Whew. Thank you for bearing with me. That's a whole lot of stuff, I know. So today, I want to talk to you guys about 3 particular things that happen in chapter 20. The first thing is the situation, and the situation is what was going on and how people responded. The second thing is the substance. Now, a substance is like what something's made of. So we're going to look at what God is made of and what he did. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is submission. And we're going to talk about what God wanted and how we should respond. So first thing, situation. We're going to talk about King Ben-Hadad first. He made all the excuses. He created this situation where he was going up against Israel, and he was just like, hey, we're going to take over. We're going to take all your stuff. And Israel's like, whoa. You can't just take all of our stuff. You can take some of our stuff. You can't take all of our stuff. But Ahab's like, I'm going to do this. I'm the king of Syria. Watch this, right? So when he lost the first time, he sort of acknowledged it was God, but he made excuses. He goes, their God, his advisors told him, their God is the God of the hills, That's why we lost. Well, of course we wouldn't have beaten him. It's their God's turf, and of course their God's going to be with them then. But they're trying to put God in a box. See, they didn't understand that our God, the God the Israelites were serving, our God is the God of everything. So it doesn't matter if you're in the hills up high or you're in the valleys down low. Our God is in control. And they were going to learn that very quickly. Even with their greater force, they said, listen, we're going to fight them in the valley. We're going to fight them in the plains. So it's like an open valley, right? Big, large open valley. And he's like, okay, we're going to fight them in the valley. And we're going to get all these new horses and all these new chariots. And it's going to be amazing. And our army's going to rock. So basically here, what was happening, just so you have like an analogy to understand, think of Iron Man. Think of if Iron Man got into a fight with somebody, but didn't have his Iron Man suit. And he was just like, man, y'all only beat me because I didn't have my Iron Man suit. And I was at your house and you had all these booby traps and you did all this stuff. So that's the only reason you beat me. But guess what? Now I have my Iron Man suit and now we're going to fight in a place where I'm in control and I can set these things up and so on and so forth. But the thing about that situation, they were going to learn, again, very quickly, God can't get boxed in like that. Doesn't matter if you're in the hills. Doesn't matter if you're in the valleys. God is in control. And that's what this leads me to my next point, the substance thing that we're talking about. Now, remember, like I said before, substance is what something is made out of. So like if I have this glass, for instance, this glass is made out of, well, glass. And the water inside is made out of, you guessed it, water. Or H2O, if you want to get more technical and more scientific. Now, God was going to show the Israelites and the Syrians what he was made of. Israel was up against this much larger force. They were outnumbered in the first fight. Yet God strengthened them to the point that they were able to push back and defeat the much larger Syrian army. The second time, they were outnumbered and they weren't on their turf, as the Syrians might say. Because God wanted to show that he wasn't just the God of the hills. Again, it's awesome. I love reading the Bible because God just flexes on people all the time. And like when you read it in chapter 20, it basically reads like, oh, so you think I'm the God of the hills. Let me show you what I can do in valleys. Like, it was kind of awesome. He's like, I'm going to show you what I can do. You only think I can do stuff over there? Watch this. So that part's absolutely amazing. And then not only did he push them back with the larger force, the 27 men that were going to get away, he literally dropped a building on them. Like the walls came crumbling down and just, they all died. So the war was won. It was absolutely won. But God wanted to do it for a reason. The reason that he wanted to do it, okay, and this goes back to the title of today's message. And this goes back to that first point that I said was really, really important. He wanted to do it so that they would know he was the Lord. He was going to give them 100% victory. Total victory. So like think of 100% victory like this. Like say you were going to take a test, right? And you got a 100% on the test, right? Now, you could get a 98%. A 98% is good. It's amazing. Like, I'm not knocking it. But 100%, that means you got everything right, all your bases were covered, and you just rocked the test, right? God wanted to give them 100% in this battle. God wanted to give them 100% in this test. But you have our good friend Ahab, and he decided that he was going to settle for a 97, not even a 98. You know what? He probably was going to settle for like if we're going to be realistic, he was probably settling, instead of 100%, it was like an 83.5%. So he was like a B. He's like, I'm going to settle for a B when I can get an A+. So this is what happens. And this leads us to our next point, and that is submission. Now, what submission is, it is giving up to something. Now, the type of submission I'm talking about is giving up control. Okay? Knowing the Lord means knowing he's in charge of everything. It means that it's God that makes sure that things are going good, not the things around you, because those things change. I could very easily say, oh my goodness, my life, I have such an amazing life because I have this beautiful glass of water. It's amazing and delicious, and I'm gonna drink it. Watch this. Ah, so good, this water. It's the most amazing thing ever. This water is so amazing. Wait a second. My water's all gone. No, it can't be gone. No! See what I'm saying? When we rely on things that aren't God, that can change. And we put all of our hope and our effort and all of and we depend on those things. Those things aren't always around. And you see how quickly, with the glass of water, things can change. Ahab messed up. He didn't submit to God. He didn't say, God, you're in charge. God, I'm going to continue. I'm going to destroy the army. I'm going to have this 100% victory that you want for me. He settled. The way he settled is when King Benadad said, hey, let's be friends. And it's just like, wait a second, dude, not too long ago, you were trying to literally take everything that I owned. Now, forgiveness is definitely a thing, but in this particular situation, when God gives a direct command, you listen to it because it's for our greatest interest and God's greatest glory. He didn't want to just do it so that he knew, oh, God can do a thing. He wanted him to do it so he would know. God did it so everyone would know that he was Lord, that he was in charge, that he was in command, that all of the things that were going on in the situation of them being attacked, them changing battlegrounds, I'm going to fight you in this place, I'm going to fight you in this place, God is in command. But Ahab didn't want to submit to that. Once things got better for him, he was like, wait, so you're not trying to kill me anymore? No? Okay. And you're gonna give me some stuff? Okay. Yeah, we can be friends now. Well, they were at war just a few hours ago. When things changed, when things got better, Ahab abandoned what God said. He did what he wanted because he was in a different situation. But remember with that glass of water, how quickly situations can change. So, kiddos, the question that I want to ask you all today is, are you trusting what God is made of, or are you waiting for things to change? I understand. It's a crazy, crazy time that we live in. There's a virus that's keeping everybody indoors. You can't see your friends the way you want to. You can't go to the park. You can't do sports. You can't do any of these things. And it's kind of a low point. It's kind of a valley. We're not up on high on a hill like, yay, we're awesome. We're in this valley. And it's just like, what's going on here? This isn't our territory. This isn't what's supposed to be going on. This isn't what's supposed to happen. Are you relying on God in that valley to be the one who brings you peace, joy, happiness, and all of the amazing things that come along with having a relationship with God? Or are you just waiting? Are you just biding your time? Just like, God, get rid of this virus so I can focus on other things other than you. So I can do what I want to do. Or are you trusting God to show what he's made of? Are you trusting God to move in your life, to change your heart? Yes, to heal the virus, of course. We want to see everybody healed. We want to see this virus taken care of and gone. But right now, God's going to do a thing. And we have an opportunity to trust him in it. And the cool thing is, you get to make that choice. You get to decide whether you want to trust God or just wait it out. And once everything changes, you don't have to deal with him anymore. You don't have to listen to him anymore. You get to make that choice today. And if you want to make the choice to follow God, I want you to pray this prayer with me right now. Lord Jesus, I thank you so much for being the amazing and wonderful God that you are. I thank you that you're the God in the high places and that you're the God in the low places. That no matter what situation that we're in, you are in control and you are the one who takes care of us. God, I submit to you as Lord. I hand over control of my life to you and I trust you with it. And I thank you for being the amazing and wondrous and loving God that you are. Amen. Well, kiddos, that's it for me today. Make sure to join us next Sunday. I'll see you. No, you'll see me. But it's going to be an amazing time. Can't wait to see you all. And next Sunday is going to be awesome. Love you guys.